What is happening, everyone? Just going to walk through the trade you guys can see on the screen here. It was a 1 to 3 taken last week, I believe on Wednesday the 7th. This did go 1 to 3. I took partials at 1 to 3 given how much I was up for the week and the possibility of how far this could run. Here is, like I said, the MetaTrader screenshot, and then I've also got here as well. This is the screenshot of my trading view. This was the trade we went through last time on the YouTube, so if you haven't gone and looked at it, go and have a look. This one was very, very clean. And I actually started the entire move. I think it's sitting at like 1 to 30 or something now, something crazy. But I'll walk through this one. If you guys want to see all the trades that I post every trade I take here in the Discord. Link for that is down below as well. And if you're into learning some more advanced concepts, advanced breakdowns and things like that, the premium group is also there for you to have a look at. Either way, jump in there. Jump in the general chat and kind of have a chat with us, introduce yourself and so on and so forth. And that way you can stay updated with the weekly and the daily outlooks. But let's jump into this trade here. Like I said, 1 to 3, I took 50% off and then got stopped at break even. So as you can see, I've cleared everything on this chart here, GBPUSD last week, Wednesday the 7th. And I will start from a higher time frame perspective. So as you can see, clear bullish internal trend moving to the upside. But if you look to the left, we are more or less, this is our daily. We are daily bearish, okay? We took this low. That was the high that took the low. And then we're kind of reading internal with that. So once we read internal with that, we have a 4-hour internal break with our retest that sits here. Now you'll understand what break and retest basically is in this video. This is the concept. It's used multiple times all the way down to the lower time frame. And all it basically is just the understanding that when you have a break of structure, liquidity will then build itself. And I use this retest structure. It's got smart money traders in it, supply and demand traders in it, support and resistance traders. It also traps in some trend line as well when it gives kind of reactions. But that liquidity that builds up is something I trade off of. So 4-hour break with the internal retest, that was our major inducement. So this was the major inducement that could indicate that we are done with the retracement and then therefore coming for that low, because trend is our friend. Daily is bearish, 4-hour will then ideally continue bearish, and we're expecting something like that, okay? And that's how I form my higher time frame bias. What we're then looking at is the internal part of our 4-hour, okay? So this was my 4-hour break. Like I said, we are bullish on the 4-hour right here. So that is my range there. And then from there, we had retest liquidity built up here, the exact same as the application above. That's something I do teach in good detail in the group as well if you are interested, but I have gone through it for free on the YouTube as well. So basically retest and then we've pushed. So my internal range for GU was this leg here, and my external range for GU was more or less this bigger leg here, like that. Okay, so internally bullish, externally bullish, but we've just taken liquidity that is very, very important in our daily higher time frame read. So understanding that, when you take important liquidity in one direction, you expect to take important liquidity in the other direction. So the next liquidity pool for me is the demand that sits here. Okay, so more or less, we're expecting to actually take this low, and if we're going to continue bullish, we will continue from bullish from there, or that's where we can get our bearish move there, and they're the two options. So that's how I frame my higher time frame. You guys can see that in the weekly outlooks as well as on the Instagram, and that's kind of how I plan that out and kind of expect what's happening there. So if we jump on a lower time frame, I jump straight down to the 15-minute and read internally what happened. So this was the low that made the new high, and now I'm looking for my extreme and decisional. So extreme, it sits externally down here. That's my last point. That's me on my origin point, and this is my last point before the new high. So decisional and extreme, they're the 2 points I like. I don't like to read it any more than that. Very, very simple is the way to go. And then this was that internal break of structure on the 15-minute. So like I said, this was completely built off the idea of break and retest liquidity. So all I'm looking at is this was my break. We've now retested this area with all of this liquidity here, which I'll mark out with the same dotted line as before. And then for me, break and retest liquidity is a 15-minute inducement. It's what I call as a medium inducement. That is enough for me to now take a trade. So yes, this is Asia lows, which is something that I don't like to do. I don't like to trade off Asia lows, but given the context of what's happened, for me, this liquidity holds enough to at least look for a retracement, whether that retracement is to the upside in terms of taking the new higher high, or if it's just a short retracement into a recent supply. So in order to kind of read your invalidations, in one direction, that's when sellers can gain back in control. We've got to read the market the other way. So what we have is we have an internal break here, very clean. We then had break and retest right here. Like I said, rinse and repeat that concept. That's how I trade. We've then got break here, same thing again, break and retest here, like that. Okay. So what that's created is this is now my last supply area right here. So once price hits this point, sellers can now gain in control again according to my current structure. Okay. So once we understand that, we've now got points in where buyers and sellers can get in control. All I'm looking at doing is trading in between those points. Okay. You have 1 minute confirmations and things that stop you from being taken out in between those points. But ideally, what I'm trying to do is trade in between them, ping pong price, and or expect a bigger reaction. So given that my 4 hour is currently bullish and that my hourly is currently bullish, there's a higher chance that this will actually come and take this high, which is where we can take more liquidity upwards. So I took this sell here. That's the one I went through in the last breakdown. So go and have a look at that one. This one did have the quality, given the liquidity that we've got, to actually come and take this external high, which is why I partialed out, which is all about risk management, and that's just something I've implemented in my rules. So what we had was this really nice inducement here. In order for me to trade off the Asia lows, I need something called a minor inducement, and all that is a 1 minute break of structure or a 1 minute move in this direction to then have that taken out. So this is a rule I have, very stock and standard. I need that. So this is now my new low that I'm trading from. Really, really clean. What we then had was, this was my external range. We've got external high, internal low, because none of this gave a big enough retracement in here to create a new external range. So external and internal. What we then had was internal break, which gives us a demand. We then had break and retest, same scenario. Right here, break, retest into a further break up here. So once we actually came down into this last point and took retest, that's now valid liquidity for me to take. All I waited for was an internal break right here, which is where I set my limit. That was enough for me to go here. In terms of invalidations, I haven't hit this point yet, and I haven't taken external liquidity. This point here is responsible, given the liquidity, for me to take as an entry model. And all this is just break and retest down to the lower time frame, break and retest, understanding where the liquidity lies, and kind of going from there. Now, people in the group were a little bit hesitant on this. So something you can do is actually wait for more than one confirmation. So for me, an internal break was enough, but some people in the group did wait for a second one. So this is why it's so powerful understanding where that liquidity sits. And they took that one there. So for me, I reckon it was a 3.5, I think. It was a little bit bigger than that. Maybe it was a 4. 4.5. So 4.5, I entered at that break there. Could have had my stop a little bit lower, but if we read internally what happened again, we've got break, retest, again. So it's completed the same thing over and over again right here. Inducement into that area of last demand and push again. So this break and retest, we've got break and retest on the 15 minute. We've then got break and retest on the 1 minute. We've then got break and retest on the 1 minute again. So it's done it 3 times in our London session, which is the session I trade, and then go from there. So understanding where that liquidity lies and why is very, very powerful. This is a type of entry model I like to use. Right here, break even at our external take, because we've now had an external break. We don't know if it's a break of structure or an inducement, to then go from there. So what I'll do, break even, like I said, I then took partials at 1 to 3, which is my average, which was also the mitigation of my supply right here. Break even already, covering commissions, partial here, looking to take out the high. Okay, so 15-minute entry model, 1 minute entry model with higher time frame. I've mapped out from a high time frame perspective on a trade that I'm going to be happy with taking. This is definitely, given on the 15-minute, is a more advanced entry to take because we are in the middle of nowhere. But understanding this, you are able to pull profits and still be incorrect, which is very, very important. So that's the breakdown there. Any questions, let me know. Like I said, jump in the free Telegram, and the free Discord. Introduce yourself in either. We've also got that premium group, and I have opened up a couple mentorship spots as well if that's something you're interested in to kind of fast track your progress. I very rarely take people on, but we've opened up some spots and kind of go from there. So, like I said, any questions, drop them below. Join those groups, introduce yourself, get cracking, and kind of go from there. So that's all from me today. Also, make sure to look at the other previous case studies as well. We're off to a really good year so far. And I'll also put an advanced case study for this in the group as well for those premium members. So that's all from me. I'll see you guys in the next one in today's market update, and we can go from there.